self-love is going to allow you to naturally take care of your body. So when you love your body, you're more naturally inspired to take care of your body. And I really want to instill that in my children.
Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast.
I'm back with another solo episode. I decided that today I would finally answer the questions you all submitted after my 2025 season, and my announcement of retiring from competing. So I'm going to look at the questions over here. I wrote them all down, and then I will be answering them for you guys one by one. So some of them may be repetitive, so I'll try to be mindful of that. My goal was not to prepare. I really wanted it to be almost like you guys were interviewing me and I was answering in the moment, just like I do for my guests. So first question, how do you know when to spend your prime years bodybuilding versus having kids? Was it a difficult decision? I think you have to make that decision based off of what you truly, truly desire and want for your life and what you might regret more so. I knew for a fact that having kids was a non-negotiable for me. There was only one time in my life where I questioned if I wanted to have children, and that was after my mom died, because that was a very traumatic and tragic loss. Maybe one day I'll talk about it, but I'm not sure when that day will be. I've thought a lot about when I'll talk about that and share that as part of my journey here, because it was a big part of that. But that was the only time I didn't know anymore. And that passed after, I would say, a few months. So it was the longest I went questioning that. Now, as far as bodybuilding goes, I did start when I was very young. My first competition, I was 18, and 10 years in this, I was 28 when I retired. And that's not even prime technically. I really feel like between now and probably 35, I would have been facing like way more prime. I've learned so much. My body is more mature. My muscles are more mature. I just have a lot more knowledge and understanding. But I don't regret spending my 20s bodybuilding. And I don't regret that now I'm starting a family. I am recording this episode being 18 weeks pregnant, and I can say it's not a difficult decision. God made the decision for me. I wasn't even done with my season before I was pregnant. So it wasn't really a choice anymore, but I had already decided going into this final season after this, I was going to have kids. If you are to fast forward your life, and I've talked to women who regret choosing competing over children and are now struggling with fertility or struggling with that choice to not have kids. I think that that is a much heavier weight to carry than the weight of, well, I never stepped on a pro stage. Well, I never earned my pro card. Well, I never the this could be a controversial statement. This is me speaking for me. The potential of becoming a mother was more exciting and rewarding and fulfilling to me than the potential of becoming a pro. So me letting go of competing so I could finally start a family was a very easy decision. So the next question was, why no competing again? Well, I spent a long time competing and a long time before that as an athlete and invested in my nutrition and training as well. I say I'm not going to compete again because when I consider what I want my life to look like over the next 5, 10, 15, even 20 years, I don't see competing fitting into that. I see my involvement in the industry fitting into that. I see being present at shows, being a supporter, continuing this podcast, continuing the work that I do for mental health. I see that but I'm not sure I see myself going through a prep again. To be transparent, I find that the demands of the sport, especially for the bikini division, have gotten very intense. The criteria has made it, in my opinion, more difficult to compete in this sport as a natural athlete. That's not to say it's impossible. That's not to say there aren't going to be or are not already successful natural bikini competitors. I'm just saying from my perspective with where the criteria is at and where it could potentially go, especially with the introduction of Fit Model. I'm just not sure that I could see myself really doing what needed to be done in order to get to that level of conditioning, that level of muscularity, that level of that look, really, without putting a lot of my life in a place where I'm not sure that I want to. Now, am I going to prioritize my health? Am I still going to be a bodybuilder? Yes. It's just going to look different. It's funny because the next question I got was, are you done for good? And I keep having these dreams. It is so weird. I keep having these dreams that I'm supposed to be competing in Fit Model, but I'm pregnant, and so I can't step on stage. And I think maybe that's because originally I didn't think Fit Model was the attractive division for me. I felt like at the time, 2013 bikini, I had surpassed that look. I had even received feedback from judges this year saying you're too big for Fit Model. But then within a few months of that feedback, not even, yeah, maybe 2, 3 months of that feedback, they're rewarding more so of a what looked to be a 2016, 2015, 2018 bikini. I mean, 2015 is it's even beyond that. So, I'd like to say I'm done for good, but the next question being, will I ever come back? Maybe in the far, far, far future, I might miss it, or maybe in the near future. I really like I keep saying I'm 99% sure I'm done and it would take an act of God to get me back. And I left the sport happy, fulfilled, grateful. I'm not jaded. I'm not upset. I love the sport. I love the community. I love, love, love competing. And I'm glad that I got to leave on my terms and not because of injury or life circumstances or other things. I'm glad that I actually got to make that choice. So I was asked, are you going to keep working with your coach? So me and Adam continued to work together for about, I want to say it was like 2 months post show. And then my pregnancy symptoms started to get like, I was very fatigued, very. My appetite was strange. I had a lot of food aversions. I was just finding it more difficult. And I was really, really feeling like I needed to let go of being so in control and really listen to my body. And I can say listen to my body because my body and the way that I listen to it has been structured around competing. And competing's given me so many tools and resources to truly understand. Listening to my body means, have I had enough protein? Am I getting enough carbs? Where are my fats at? So me listening to my body isn't just, I'm gonna eat, although there have been some days where I literally only ate cereal and crackers, just to be honest. But most of the times it's like I'm still making sure I'm getting my protein in, making sure I'm getting so I stopped working with Adam, but not because of any negative reason. I actually wish that I could have kept working with him. Also, from a financial perspective, knowing what I know now, where I'm at now, it felt like that money could go into savings and other things. So that's what I did. And Adam has been so supportive and amazing, of course. And I really contribute so much of my success and my ability to actually get pregnant while at my leanest ever, competing and my best ever competing to him and to the work that he did with me. Years and years ago, he helped me get my period back. That's what really garnered a lot more trust in him, led me to eventually hiring him as my coach. And he made me the healthiest version of myself as an athlete I'd ever been. And so I'm forever grateful for him. And I've had lasting changes as a result of his work with me. So if you guys ever consider working with Adam Atkinson, let him know I sent you or that you heard about it on the podcast because I love this community and I really do think he's incredible. So how has competing challenged or changed your mentality positively? Wow, well, that's a loaded question. I mean, one of the best things competing gave me is a reason to take care of myself when I did not even want to be here. I've struggled with very, very low lows my entire life. as a result of what I've recently discovered to be bipolar 2. Um, and those low lows have led me to really question life's significance and my significance in living. That's not to be a red flag for you guys. Like I'm taking care of it. I'm treated. I have a lot of people who, um, well, I have a small circle of people who care and are close to that. So it challenged me to take care of myself even when I didn't want to, because bodybuilding created a routine for me of following my macros, hitting the gym, drinking water, getting good rest. When I was at my lowest lows, that was so automatic that I couldn't hurt myself by restricting food or hurt myself by not going to the gym and moving my body. I couldn't hurt myself those ways because it was so heavily ingrained in me to follow through on that, to follow through on that. So another example, when my mom passed away, I really questioned, like, what is the point of bodybuilding when, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get on stage and look like this, and my mom's gone. Like, what's the point? This all seems so surface. What? And I really started questioning that, and unfortunately started to see bodybuilding in a different light, which was short-lived because my coaches at the time really, I mean, they really, really held space for me, and like, they had me coming to their garage to train with them and just keep me supported. So that's another way. It When I lost my mom, I could have easily given up, but bodybuilding again, it was just so part of my routine that it wouldn't make sense. I didn't know how to live any other way. So now all these things are just part of my norm. One of the things that it's changed about me is my mentality around my body and food. So originally competing was like a way for me to maintain disordered eating patterns and exercise patterns because I now had a reason while I'm competing, while I'm in prep. Even though before, like I had so many food fears and so many food restrictions but I had no reason for it. So when I started competing, it was like, well, now I can say it's because of this. But then over time, competing actually gave me a new outlook on food, seeing it as important for growth, seeing it as something I could do from a macros perspective, but also seeing it for its health and nutritional benefits, how it impacts my gut, how it impacts my energy. And as far as body goes, I've seen my body change so much throughout competing, you guys. I mean, like, I've been 100 and I think my leanest this year was 107.8 or something. It's just insane. Like insane. All the way, and I'm 5'4", all the way to 160. I've seen my body go through a lot of changes, and I'm not recommending one way or the other. There's other reasons for some of the weight gains that I've experienced. In the beginning, it was binging and restricting and the post-show experiences that came. But beyond that, it started turning into like gut health, and it started turning into when I was grieving, no matter how much I stuck to my plan, it did not matter. I was gaining weight. That was a really interesting time for me because it revealed like you can be doing everything right, but there could be this other weight you're carrying, and the weight of grief was compounding for me. And I remember at the time it was difficult. I felt like, wow, I'm doing everything right. Here, my body is just holding this trauma and gaining weight, and people probably think I've blown my reverse and I don't practice what I preach, but that wasn't the case at all. I can't explain it other than I was in heavy grief. So that's besides the point. What it helped me to see was my body is going to change throughout my entire life. And seeing my body change over and over and over again has given me this confidence that I love my body in all these phases, and every single phase serves a purpose. And every phase of my life, my body has looked different. Right now, being pregnant, it's going through all sorts of changes. And I appreciate those changes versus struggle with them. Now, in the beginning of pregnancy, oh, I struggled with it, you guys. I'll be very transparent. I struggled with the body changes because imagine you're going from your absolute leanness to, hey, now you need to be eating a lot. Like you need to start eating actually a little bit above maintenance, but you were still reversing out of a deficit. And you have to get your food up just for the sake of building a baby. So naturally, your weight's going to go up, your body's going to change. And I mean, eating more that quickly too was a massive shock to my gut and my skin and my system and just like everything. So that was a little bit hard, but now I'm like, I broke out of that first trimester. I feel great now. Like first trimester wasn't even that hard, but my body was having a hard time with just like the adjustment. And now I've really adjusted. I don't feel like a puffy marshmallow anymore. Like when I say that, I mean like bloating and like full and my skin hurting constantly, feeling like a bruise, which was interesting because the last time I felt like my body was like a bruise to the touch was when I was in like binge eating mode or when I had gut issues. So that was a challenge to face. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many, I could list so many ways competing has challenged and changed my mentality positively. Another thing is it's given me perspective on how important it is to have routine. Now, I always had a routine as a child, but just it's changed my mentality on the value of discipline and the views of that. And I really hope to instill that in my child because I don't want them to see it as a discipline, as in do this. I want them to see it as a discipline, as in you're stewarding your body that God's given you because you care and love yourself. I've always said that self-love is going to allow you to naturally take care of your body. So when you love your body, you're more naturally inspired to take care of your body. And I really want to instill that in my children, in hopes that they will see it's not just about your physique. And yeah, mom wore this bikini on stage and got judged for her shoulders and glutes and her waist and her tan and her hair. Da, da, da. Yeah, but like behind all that, take all that away. Close your eyes. Think about the work that went into that and the immense value it brought to life and all the ways it positively impacted other areas of life too. So, yeah, it's given me a perspective from it's not just, hey, get this great physique because you want to have muscles. And I mean, I've always loved women with muscles. So, like, I admired athletes. I wanted to be a woman with muscles. I grew up as a volleyball player and then I got into jiu-jitsu. And volleyball, but I've always admired women who are strong and muscular and athletic looking. So it's not just about that, though. It's the woman behind that. That's what's really what matters. It's who I became every time I didn't win, every time I did win. It was all every single day, all that work in between, and how positive that was for me. So, something that this was the next question. What is something competing changed your perspective on? I would say competing changed my perspective on competing. I don't know how ready I am to share some of the darker things I've learned about this industry in doing what I do and in the podcast and in just some of the connections that I've made. But competing changed my perspective on competing in good ways and bad ways. So in good ways, I mean, like originally I just saw it as people showed up for this show, we competed, we went home. We trained and then we did the next one and we went home. It wasn't until I really started to make connections and really started to see that we're all people, we're all in this. There's like reasons for this that I started to change my perspective on it. It wasn't just about this show day. It was about the community. It was about the personal growth and development. It was about helping each other. There was so much more to it that I could see bringing my message of build more than just a body into. And then it changed my outlook on competing, in another positive way. People would say things like, oh, you're going to be judged unfairly because some women have like ins with the judges and this and that. And I gotta say, I don't actually believe I ever experienced that. Have I heard stories? Yes. Have I experienced that? No. Most of the judges I've spoken to, with the exception of probably maybe one or two, I can say that like I don't feel that relationships or their power influenced their decisions. But I can say from a darker perspective, and I talked a little bit about this with Shayla Hubbard on our most recent podcast because we've done a few, but our most recent one. Bodybuilding, I saw it as like strong women getting celebrated and getting to showcase all of their hard work and their athleticism and their commitments and drive. And while I do see that, I also see unfortunate sexualization of women and an unfortunate expectation or even standard from the women that they also have to uphold that and sexualize themselves in order to have success. Um, so maybe you could say that's me growing in my faith too, that's challenged some of that. So like I said, maybe listen to the podcast with Shayla. I kind of share more of my perspectives on that. And there's other things one day I might talk about. Uh, to keep it brief, there was a situation this past year where I actually brought some serious concerns to the who cares if I incriminate myself at this point? I brought some serious concerns to the IFPB on behalf of many women in the industry who had reported stories to me about a person in the industry who's well known and whom I used to have a relationship with. Not a relationship like that. I mean, like a personal, professional relationship with. And that led to a conversation with Tyler, and that led to I don't know what it led to be honest. All I did was give them what I just stood up for the women who have experienced it. So I felt like I was willing to put if there was any potential influence on my success in the sport as a result of speaking out against these things, I was the one willing to sacrifice that on behalf of women who I really loved and cared about because I knew I was going to be walking away after this anyway. Can I say it influenced it? No idea. No idea, honestly. Nor would I make claims that it did because I didn't actually get that impression. I've had nothing but support, especially from the people whom I did speak to about it. And unfortunately, they were already aware of these types of things going on. Favorite thing I learned about myself thanks to competing. Goodness. I will say the thing that I think is my most favorite that I learned about is I learned a lot about myself, but I will say it was my natural curiosity that fostered really positive relationships and communications and connections, not just through this podcast, but in the work that I do, the seminars that I've spoken at, the workshops that I've done. My natural inclination to be curious led me to this. And that's my favorite thing that I learned about myself is by capitalizing on something that I previously maybe would have shut down or sometimes would have been questioned like, why do you have so many questions? Why do you always want to know this? Why da, 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 da. And actually I was like, no, I'm gonna start a podcast and ask these amazing women about their lives and call it Confessions of a Bikini Pro. And then that led to me seeing the need for build more than just a body in this space. Like if it wasn't for me being curious and acting on that, I wouldn't have been here. So that's probably my favorite thing I learned. Thanks to competing. Can you even call that competing? I mean, competing is the reason why I got curious, right? Um, there's so many thoughts coming now about that question, but how has your view of competing changed as you've grown in your faith? I kind of just talked about that a little bit. I used to post differently. I was more comfortable with showing certain things that now I'm not as comfortable with. I think also my view on competing went from, but in the very beginning, it was a lot about like winning and getting trophies and qualifying and placements. And then it turned into, I love this. And then it turned into Christ is my identity. And so competing can't be. And that idol of winning, that idol of a pro card had to go. And I was able to lay it at Jesus' feet and say, okay, you are more important and help me to decide what I need to do in this sport. Um, and it helped me to see more of one of the things I just spoke about, like the speaking out for other women. Like that actually was a result of me going to a women's group and sharing some of the things that have been brought to my attention and feeling like Esther, like maybe you were here for such a time as this. And they were the ones who told me and encouraged me to speak up. Another thing I would say is it led me, like I said, identity away from I need trophies to feel successful. Because when you grow up as an athlete, and I was MVP and often won like awards for the positions that I played and was I loved winning. you start to equate, or you can equate some of your success and your identity to how well you perform. And same with school. Everything was like, oh, the next, the next, the next. Like, how well am I doing? Oh, I got a 4.0 GPA, therefore, da 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 da. But competing kind of led me to pursue the same idols of I have to win in order to be deemed more worthy or valuable. But that's not true to Christ. And so I don't know if you guys have heard the song Gyra, but actually there's a version of it by Chandler Moore and Justin Bieber on YouTube that I really like. I mean, I listened to that so much in this prep, but anyway, my faith has let me let go of competing and let go of a lot of the control in competing and focus on um, my values in a different way. So, anything you would change or do different in your entire competitive career? Yes. Yes, a lot. First and foremost, I would have done my show in 2015 like I did, and I would have then taken lots of time off to grow. After that show, I did take time off, but that was because I became a jaded competitor and blamed bodybuilding for a lot of things and had to do a lot of personal work to get through that. But I would have taken time to grow. And then when I returned in 2017, instead of doing like 5 shows in 2018, I would have done one or two. And as soon as we decided we weren't going to do a national show, I would have stepped back and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. I also think in 2018, I actually did have a shot at doing well at a national show based on what was being rewarded at the time. So I feel like I might have missed an opportunity there. Okay, so moving forward, I kind of wish I wouldn't have looked at coaching as I did when I was a volleyball player. It was very much loyalty to team, and I think that in bodybuilding that's a little different. I had a great relationship with my past coaches, but I think I needed a different level of support, and I do. Hindsight's 2020. Like there's a lot that I learned as a result of not switching coaches, but I do wish that I had hired Adam sooner. And I made the most progress as an athlete working with him, and I think he would have been able to take me to the next level. I mean, looking at the growth we had from when we started working together to just this past season, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what else could we have actually achieved? Um, so more time off, less shows in a year because if you know you're not going to go to nationals, but that's one of your goals, why are you still competing? Take time off, grow. Um, would you ever consider competing in fit model? Yes, now I've answered that question earlier. It's highly unlikely I'll return to the stage, but if I did, it would probably be in fit model. I actually like the division more now than I did when they very first announced it. I think it's um I think it's something I would have actually done well in. I got a lot of feedback from my posing coach and from my coaches and teammates like you should do fit model, even some of you. And I didn't appreciate that at the time because I worked so hard for bikini and when I was getting different opinions from judges, like it was very difficult. And at the time, Fit Model was still so new. Like I think it was just all of us were finding our footing in it. So I don't regret not competing in Fit Model. Sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done that for Pittsburgh. But honestly, like, then I would have always thought about bikini. And I should have done bikini. So I'm glad that I went out in bikini. And if I came back, it would probably be in Fit Model. Who knows what they'll be doing at that time though, and what that'll look like. Because if Fit Model looks like bikini now, then I'm not coming back. Just to be even more honest with y'all. I mean, let's be real. Some of these bikini competitors being awarded, I look at them and I'm like, her shoulders are like figure, or her glutes are like wellness. I mean, not exactly like wellness, you know what I mean? But like, I mean, it's very different than early days. So I still love bikini though. It's still my favorite division. As of right now, so I can't I'm not complaining or poo-pooing bikini division. Um I do kind of wish that they would have pumped the brakes a little bit on the growth, but like you guys have heard in a lot of my interviews, a lot of the bikini competitors I've spoken to are glad for the growth. So hey, awesome. Do you think you will regret your decision coming out of the bodybuilding space without a pro card? Nope. Um I really don't think so. I made peace with the fact that I might not earn my pro card, like I was talking about with my faith and my identity and surrendering that idol. I had made peace with the potential of never winning my pro card, so much so that it was, I had such an enjoyable season. I wanted the pro card, of course. Of course, I had worked so hard for that. I didn't sacrifice the goal, but I sacrificed the desire, meaning um a desire so strong that it could have taken away from a lot of other things. But I focused on the process and I did everything in my power to execute and that I could. I know I gave my all, gave my best with everything that I had throughout my entire career bodybuilding. I may not have earned a pro card, but I certainly feel like I mastered competing and I still would have a lot to learn, as we always do. But I feel as though this is not to take away from people who won their pro card, but I feel as though my mentality is professional. My physique may not have been there yet, but I don't think I couldn't have gotten there. But then again, there's also women I've seen on their road to pro who look like pros and they've never gotten it. Um, I don't regret it at all. I really don't. Um, there hasn't even been a part of me since the show that's gone, "Oh, I really wish I would have won my pro card. I really would. It hasn't been that way. You guys, I was so comfortable with my decision to step away. There was no part of me going, well, maybe I shouldn't. I knew it was time. If there was still an inkling of then I would have. Well, I wouldn't have because I got pregnant, but I would have if I hadn't. So, but there was nothing like that. Even if I hadn't been pregnant, I knew like I'm ready to be done. So I don't think I'll regret it because the most vulnerable time is post retirement, and I haven't felt any regret. I don't even know. Some people have said, "Oh, well, do you think it's gonna make you less marketable? Do you think people won't respect you as much, or want your podcast as much, or want your mental health services?" Well, if a pro card determines if I'm capable of supporting someone with their mental health, then what the hell did I get my master's in clinical mental health counseling for, and my licensed associate counselor, and my national certification for counseling, and my bachelor's in psychology, and all the certifications, all the workshops I've done? What the heck is all that for if it's just like someone's going to hire me because I had a pro card or I didn't? Like, if that's the case, that's probably not the client for me. So, similarly, like you shouldn't just hire a coach because they have a pro card. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's about like everything that I've built and done, what I've created, who I am, but then beyond that, like my education, that should really stand as evidence that I can support someone. And Confessions of a Bikini Pro, yeah, I'm not a bikini pro. I interview bikini pros, and I have built this platform, and I love this platform. And I've gotten such great feedback from y'all that you want me to do more solo episodes. So what I thought would be regret has been nothing but gratitude. Gratitude for the journey, gratitude for everything I've become, gratitude for being ready and willing to walk away versus forced to. No regrets. Will you stay in the bodybuilding world in another role? Yes, I'm going to continue to do the podcast. I'm going to continue to offer my mental health services, and I hope to be able to contribute at local shows. I want to bring Baby forward into local shows. I want to do post-show interviews at shows, and I really hope some promoters keep me in mind for that. Um, Locally and not locally, I want to continue to contribute at retreats, workshops, seminars. I literally the only thing that's changing is my heels won't be on stage. That's it. I won't be slapping on a tan anymore. That's really it. So, what are you most excited about as you grow your family? That's a great question. What am I most excited about as I grow my family? Hmm. There's so much I'm excited about. I'm excited to watch my baby grow. I'm excited to feel what it feels like to love something that deeply. I'm excited to watch my baby experience everything for the first time and almost have this connection to wonder that only a child, like childlike wonder, childlike faith, childlike fun and freedom, but to be able to provide that to my child. I'm most excited about seeing them play with their cousins. My sister lives so close to me. Um, I'm excited about all the experiences, having an addition there, having this version of me and my husband, like in baby form. Um, and watching them become their own person. I don't know the gender yet, by the way, you guys. I'm gonna find out in like, what is it? It's gonna be like 12 days now, 13 days now, I think. We're gonna do that at the anatomy scan. So I'm not sure. I'm just excited about all of it. All of it. Are the heels on the hook or post babies? Do you think you'd come back? I might come back, but it's probably not for a very, 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 very long time. Favorite show day memories. Oh Lord. I've got so many. Okay, I I've shared some about this past season, like when my suit got soiled in period, and all the women who stepped up to help me. Um, I got to spend time with really great people at the Pittsburgh show. I loved the North Carolina show. It was such a great, oh my gosh, like so easy, so smooth. It was just fun. It was a good time. Um, I my favorite show day memories aside from this year, like I can think back to 2018's Legends Classic. That was my first place, and I was like, "This is." Oh no, that was not my first place. That was my national qualification. But I had the Gold Coast the week prior. I had gotten my first place, and that was so awesome. Pittsburgh, North Americans in 2022. That was one of my favorite show days because I got to meet so many of you, and I felt like I could really see the impact of this podcast and all the guests that I've had tangibly. So that was a really awesome show day experience for me too. That's actually been part of why so many show days have been so great. I'm sure I'm missing so many more, but I've had really great conversations with people at shows, made really great friends. So it's just been amazing. So I'm not seeing any other questions here. Some of the questions I've asked, like it's really more so for probably I'll ask guests, maybe people with more experience in those realms than me. But if I missed your question, feel free to ask, or if this sparked more curiosities, let me know. Because I'd love to be able to answer your questions. I am personally just so overjoyed with the opportunity to answer the questions that you guys had, the curiosities and interest. It really means a lot to me. I intend to keep doing this and showcasing a lot of my journey through the sport, and I really hope that it inspires you guys to share your journeys too. If there are any topics, suggestions for the show, people you want to hear on, feel free to message me on Instagram at celestial_fit or reach out to me through my website, www.celestial.fit. If you weren't aware yet, I've got so many freebies on there for you guys, from post-show blues coaching program to a free food relationship program, which is the most popular, to overcoming mindless eating workshop, a free card deck for competitors. And then I've got all of the um, workshops in there that you could purchase. I have an on-demand mindset coaching platform that's like the Netflix for competitors, my food relationship program, tons and tons of stuff on celestial.fit, even an intentional living planner. So I invite you guys to check that out. Your support means so much to me of the show. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.